The crown Jesus laughed and said, I think we misnamed her. Instead of Alat, we should have called her Fatima. Ha! Get it? Fatima? And as the crown Jesus did another electric air guitar motion, feeling he had hit it out of the ballpark again with the puns, Rothman felt he was going to orgasm again to looking at the giant dancing girl. But right before he did, Allah blew it by saying B, suddenly transforming the Goldie Hawn into transparency, as if she was made out of colorless jello, but with golden hair, with a head full of golden hair and visible bone marrow. I've got to change something here. With a head of golden hair and visible bone marrow. What in the worlds did you do to her? Shouted Rothman. Rothman then remembered that in paradise the virgins will not only be the same gigantic height, but will be so pure that they will be transparent except for the bone marrow. The giant girl no longer looked like Goldie Hawn, but colorless jello in very expanded Goldie Hawn form. She danced about with the moonlight now shining through her, except for the bone marrow, which pretty much glowed red like a neon sign shaped like a very skinny skeleton inside the outline of a fat girl. You really think that's sexy, O Allah? Rahman asked Allah. We think so, said the Quran Jesus and Jibril in ecstasy. Rahman then asked, if the virgins are all the same height, you are the same height as the virgins, then how can you tell you're having sex with children of both sexes? Virgins, shouted Allah defensively. They're virgins, not children. Virgins with swelling breasts. Right, said Rothman mockingly. Again, if the virgins are all the same height and you are the same height as the virgins, then how can you tell they are little boys like the Quran says? Aren't the 300 boys you're promised to? Aren't the 300 boys you promised to feed one grapes? Well, aren't they 90 feet tall as well? And if they are all the same height in paradise, then how can anyone tell if we are all 90 feet tall? Allah ignored Rahman's desperate shout. Allah ignored Rahman and desperately shouted, B, 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 B. On each shout of B, the transparent, colorless jello girl, with her hair and bone marrow visible, suddenly began to gain 1,000,000 pounds on each shot of B. But instead of gaining weight proportionately, she just gained weight in her butt. By the time Allah was done saying B, the girl now had a butt that was over a mile wide in size. She better not twerk now, laughed the Quran Jesus. How in the world can she? Laughed Jibril. If she does, say goodbye to Alturas and Reno, laughed the Quran Jesus. Jibril smiled and said, okay, you did improve her, Allah. You really made her more beautiful. Allah smiled and asked, isn't she? She's what our apostle promised the jihadis, and you get 72 of them just like her if you die killing for us, each one having a butt that is over a mile wide in size. Rahman just stood there with his mouth hanging open in shocked amazement. It all sounded fantastic on paper to him, but to have it actually visually displayed before him was a whole different matter. Rahman blinked and then said, why, I think she now looks, well, absolutely gross. The word gross caused gasps. It caused gasps, even from the ants down on the playa. Let's see, how much time do I have left? Yeah, caused gasps. Caused gasps. Okay. Yeah. Rothman went on and said, I mean, I'm a chubby chaser, as you could tell, but that has got to be the most revolting thing I've ever seen. I mean, you have to be joking. Maybe if I were a termite, really into termite queens pregnant to the breaking point with their eggs, I might find her attractive, but I'm not a termite. And how, yeah, and how is a palm tree sized penis you promise us going to be anything even remotely visible around something like that? Totally not free out of the libido haze from what the girl had blown up into, Rothman again asked, again, what are we to believe? Should we believe you, Muhammad, about sins really evil, about sins of really evil Muslims being placed on Jews and Christians, so the really evil Muslims escape hell while the Jews and Christians go into hell? Or should we believe your Quran that says no bearer of burden shall bear the burden of another? You did say we are to follow Muhammad, but to you did say we are to follow Muhammad, but to follow Muhammad we have to believe the Hadith, do we not? And by the way, aren't Jews supposed to be apes and pigs? Yes, said Allah in a trembling voice to know that their illusion had failed. Of course, said Jibril. What of it? Asked the Quran Jesus, looking annoyed. The Quran Jesus suddenly remembered something that made him burst out into laughter. What? Asked Rahman. The Quran Jesus then said, Allah turned the Jews into apes when the Jews fished on the Sabbath. The Sabbath was the only day my dad, not dad, would have the fish come out for the starving Jews to try to catch, or they'd starve to death. All the other times there were no fish, but just on the Sabbath were